Call the meeting of the Indiana Borough Council work session to order. And we do have a vote for that, so call the roll, please. Present.
Present. DeBowser, Ford, Herring, Kratza, Lancaster, Newell, Smith, Steelman, Taylor, Warnock. 10 present, 2 absent.
Are there any additions or changes to the agenda? Listed, but I don't know any reason why we would want to have one, so we're going to skip that. And this is time for public participation. Denise, you got anything to say?
Anybody online?
Nobody's online.
I already asked it before we started. Reports. Can run through those quickly if anybody has any. Administration, do you have anything?
Not really, right?
We haven't met.
We haven't met yet, so.
That would be a reason. Community development.
Hour we could wait. I mean, I could give a quick update. You should have the full comprehensive plan in your inbox. Please read and send comments along. I guess probably Ben would be a smart place to focus all those, but if you send them to either of us, I'm sure we'll get them. Bike ped and active transportation plan are both progressing. There will be meetings for both of those later in the month. On the Harb, some people are interested in and starting to work with LERTA, so hooray. Yeah.
And working on it, is that right?
That's really exciting because we announced. When did we announce LERTA?
April, huh? Because we just looked at that.
Yeah, it was probably I think, I want to say at the end of May is when the press releases started to go out. So it's been about 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks.
But can you retroactively apply for that? So once a project has begun, there's nothing they can do.
No retroactive.
You shouldn't have been such a Johnny on the spot.
Right, as of April.
But the big news is that big project, it was like a $300,000 project that qualified. Really cool. Garage and
No, it's an addition to a house.
an addition, the garage, the mother-in-law, whole, 300,000.
It's a big
That's
house.
more than a house. More than mine.
Yeah.
Awesome. Would-
Okay, nothing else from community development until we get to old business. Public safety.
Yep. This came to our attention, and the chief's attention. We haven't had a chance to meet on it, so this has not been presented before the Public Safety Committee. The Artist 10 Gallery is celebrating their 10th anniversary, and they're requesting the closure of Gompers between South 8th Street and South 7th Street, and the use of the municipal parking lot at 100 South 8th Street on Saturday, July 9th, 2/22, from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. for their 10th anniversary event. An open container waiver has been requested. This request was not discussed in public safety, as I said, and it was not received before our last meeting. And because this is on borough property, which Gompers Avenue is, unlike Philadelphia, we don't have to go through PennDOT. So we could deal with this on our own because of that. So the suggested motion is to move to approve Artist Hand Gallery's 10th anniversary event request on Saturday, July 9th, 2/22, from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. on Gompers Avenue between South 8th and South 7th Street, and within the municipal lot at 100 South 8th Street. I'll need a second.
I'll second.
Okay.
That's motion. Any discussion?
I had one point of clarity for council. I spoke with parking coordinator Kukula about the 100 block of South 8th Street. And he expressed to me that the way that the parking department's operating, they have rented spots in the 100 block of South 8th Street. And he was not in favor of moving anyone or displacing anyone out of the lot. I believe I tried to contact the Artisan Gallery and I wasn't successful before this meeting, but I believe that they would be okay with that. And I also believe that perhaps if there's an obviously unused portion of the lot for that time from 6 to 10, that it would be acceptable for them to use that space, as long as we provide an entrance and exit off of Church Street. So I certainly could coordinate that if it's council's desire, or we could choose to not lot and just close Gompers Avenue.
There is a portion of that lot that has meters in it.
Right.
Not all reserved spaces.
It has been a while admittedly since I've been in that lot assessing the parking metered spaces, but certainly if there are metered spaces, then I'm sure the event would pay to have those blocked off. And I could discuss that as well.
And I don't know who all rents. It's Saturday, but I know like our family's restaurant, they rent a space to park.
But are they there Saturday night from 6 to?
Well, they'll be there till 8 or 9.
In that lot?
I don't know. They have that, they're
that
open,
where they rent the
they're a
space?
night business, so,
Is that where they rent their space?
yeah.
It's in that lot?
Yeah.
Okay, so
But I just put that out there. My concern,
I mean, it's a
Yeah.
pretty big lot. I don't think it's gonna matter.
Because
isn't,
it gets used mostly, besides, I mean, people can get around it, but there are businesses that get deliveries off of Gompers, but none of them, that's going to be happening after 6 o'clock on a Saturday.
my concern is how well we would have it marked, because I don't want anybody coming in making a left turn.
Well, I have full confidence in Public Works to get that blocked.
That's
It's
my only concern.
it's not a request that Public Safety could approve or that we could discuss just by the timeliness of the request. So I do not see a significant public safety concern with allowing the closure of Gompers Avenue. It's a one-way street. It's from 6 to 10. It should be well lighted. Give permission for them to use South 8th Street lot if the parking department has those spaces leased. I think that it's likely that there will be plenty of empty space in that lot that will meet their need, but I wouldn't want to guarantee it.
If I may, you would have to close that 8th Street lot at Church Street. Because since that lot's been redone, you go in one out the other, so they would get onto Gompers from there. That would be,
Only exit is onto Gompers.
Yeah.
With any local businesses about this, like the other street closure did, how they had to check with the neighbors or at least get permission and approval?
I can't promise what
Not for a lot.
church,
Okay.
because I had raised that question about a Saturday service. And I was told that the church felt that there wasn't an issue with the use of the lot, so.
The church uses the part that is the meter is in that section.
They very well may be satisfied with us closing Gompers Avenue in the area of their business, which I believe would allow for egress onto Gompers Avenue. But again, as a safety concern, we don't want to route traffic down a one-way street the wrong direction. So perhaps it's not as simple, but if council would feel comfortable approving it, I could circle back around, tentatively approving it. I could always circle back around with the artisan and make sure that we have a proper way to handle it. If not, then certainly we could deny that request, but time is of the essence for their planning.
Tentatively approve it, what would the follow-up be?
Proviso that these issues be dealt with.
I would send them a letter that said it's conditionally approved upon the following requirements being met. And if we can meet them for them, then we will.
About 2 years ago, didn't they block off that same lot for the Indiana players? We had a dance party type of thing. Yep.
We've changed.
Past
the dynamic
precedent.
in that area a little bit though, I think is with the revamp of the parking, so. Oh.
I'm pretty sure because, yeah, it was there. I
Were there
think.
any complaints that you know of from at that time, from people leasing spaces and saying I can't park?
Pandemic. So I don't know who was there. It was like a socially distanced dance party in the parking lot. Yeah.
Sounds like my time.
So,
Well, as far as I recall, there weren't any big people, any problems with people saying, get your car.
Motion with modifications. The seconder will accept the modifications, then friendly amendment, just let it go. Is there any other discussion of the motion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And the other thing on the agenda for tonight is the elected official reports first. And personnel reports.
Maybe we do need to list them all on the agenda.
I was thinking about that.
we don't have anything in public works.
Good. Personnel reports. Now, you've gone and shortened this agenda, so
We,
I mean, the chief and you.
you, and Pat, and the solicitor.
No, I'm an elected official. I come under the elected official report.
Oh. The only thing I have to report is I want to, for the next couple months for our work sessions, kind of got a little pushed back on certain items. So July's work session is going to be the board the reapportionment presentation. We are having another meeting on the 28th. So, and then the August work session, I talked to the chief and I asked him if he could push his report, his chief's report back until September due to the stamp program that we've been dealing with for a year, was unable to come in the June and July. So we're going to push that back to the August work session. And I'd like to get that presentation presented as soon as possible because there's a lot of recommendations that we could use moving forward to apply for some grant money. So that's going to be in August. And then the September's work session will be the police presentation on the report. So I wanted to upcoming on the work sessions. And then also we hired a summer help, a high school kid will start tomorrow. That's been the process the last couple of years, for years and years. So that will help with the summer help, pulling weeds, doing some weed eating, getting some of the borough facilities cleaned up with people going on vacation, and that the summer help kind of fills in to help out with some yard work that needs done. Maybe we'll hit 8th Street, take care of 7th Street up here. So that's continuing this week. They can work 20 to 40 hours. It depends. Like if it rains or something, then we send them home, but it's just a high school summer helper. So we budget that every year. It's part of the budget.
Done this before, but it sounds like, yeah, okay.
20 years I've been here, we've always had a summer helper come in. Learning experience for them too.
I have very little to report today. We put out a public safety advisory on the use of fireworks for coming up for the 4th of July. So if I could just speak publicly for a second, that traditionally during the summer months, the police department receives numerous complaints and reports of the use of fireworks within the borough. And as a general caution to everyone using fireworks, to use fireworks, they must, person to meet the requirements of the article must be at least 18 years of age to use consumer fireworks that are legal in Pennsylvania, not necessarily the ground fireworks that you can buy at convenience stores, but certainly the more significant fireworks that exist. And that we have to be diligent with the use on private property because the law states that fireworks can't be discharged from properties that aren't 150 feet or structures that aren't 150 feet apart. So Indiana Borough is densely populated. We need everyone to be safe and careful. We certainly will respond to all reports of dangerous fireworks, and we'll handle them as we have done in all past years, which is certainly with due diligence and level-headedness in the borough, understanding that it's the 4th of July.
Neighbors. Because they will be shooting them
We will
off.
be out. We will be out. And there's also certainly a noise ordinance that can guide disruptions and disturbances from fireworks. But as with anything, I just ask our community to be patient with your neighbors. And if you see something unsafe, certainly report it. Other than that, we'd appreciate your patience and we'll be available round the clock for you. And that really concludes my report for tonight.
Pat, do you have anything?
I have nothing to report tonight. Thank you.
What was, I wanted to let people know that after my remarks about the school board at the last council meeting caused a little bit more of a stir than I had counted on. I reached out to the superintendent of schools, Michael Vukovich, met for coffee. At that coffee, we agreed that we were going to issue a joint statement, and he was going to draft it and then send it to me. But what he wrote was not a joint statement. It was a statement from him, which had some things in it that I had to have removed. He said he's going to submit it this week sometime, so look for it in the paper. If he publishes it the way I left it, including spelling my name correctly, which he couldn't do for some reason. I didn't think my name was that hard. It's a fairly common English name, but anyhow, that's my only report. He's not with us tonight.
I think it's his birthday.
Yes.
Celebrate an anniversary.
Well, happy birthday, happy anniversary to Mayor Simmons.
We're all younger.
Under the voter dealt with the action item, so under old business, we were to discuss the marijuana decriminalization proposal. They come from community development, and Ben Ford here until 30.
Guess we're supposed to stretch us out a little longer.
Ask the-
Okay.
Questions?
Jonathan and Kratska well prepared.
So we've gathered a large amount of data. We've looked at the data. We've talked about the data. And what the data have shown is that while in other municipalities that have decriminalized, there has not been any increase in use among youth or things like that, there has actually been an increase in the disparity of arrests. So things from a social justice perspective have gotten worse sometimes after these things have been passed. And what we learned from data from the district attorney is that most of these arrests begin with minor traffic stops, like failure to stop or failure to use a turn signal. So the point where the racial disparity is happening is at the people getting pulled over for minor traffic violations, because that's what precipitates all of the arrests. So to pass this ordinance would not solve the problem. So we're looking for the time being to set this aside and to consider, probably through public safety, what we can, what discussion we can begin about thinking about the culture of people getting pulled over and why there seems to be this disparity there.
I got pulled over the other day for not stopping at a stop sign. I got my ticket and I'm going to have to take care of it, so.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah.
You're not the only one, Tammy. So not having anything for us, so
We actually agree that we recommend not moving forward with the decriminalization ordinance for now. We would like to continue to gather data and information from other municipalities that have passed a similar ordinance and possibly look at whether any of them had a, a good outcome and the outcome that we would be looking for. So until then,
Maybe comparative demographically.
I have a question for the solicitor. I don't know what page it was on anymore. It looked like there might be a new law coming down. Or is it just simply,
Nicole included that. Right, that proposal, who knows whether it's gonna pass or not, but
I don't know how long that would normally take. And
this
there was
is,
a law, if you didn't catch it, that basically stated they might make it illegal to pass an ordinance, if I'm paraphrasing correctly, to pass an ordinance that would be
Contra to, yeah.
first degree misdemeanor for local public officials to vote for, direct, or induce any law enforcement officer to not enforce a state law.
And quite honestly, what you have to understand, I put this a letter to Chairman Ford. Just because you pass this ordinance does not tell your police department that they have to cite under that. They can still cite under the Small Amount of Marijuana Act or any other state act. This just simply gives them another option. And we as a municipality would not be permitted to tell an officer, you must do this. Because as sworn officers, the chief can't even tell them what to do. That could be deemed official oppression. So we got to keep that in mind as well, that this just gives another, they could theoretically, what you could have is someone getting charged doubly, one with the Indiana Borough ordinance and one with the state crimes code violation. Why you would ever do that is beyond me, but they could do that. And we have no way to tell the officer that they have to pick or choose. Because as a sworn law enforcement officer, you're not permitted to do that. Even when I was the district attorney, I could give advice, but I cannot direct. Now, once it got to my office, I could withdraw charges and so forth if I didn't feel that there was sufficient evidence to support said charge. But I could not tell an officer when he filed his complaint, you must do this or you must do that. Chief, my assessment on that.
I don't disagree with your assessment. I would very respectfully and publicly assert two things. One, I'm going to be delivering a State of the Police Department address in September, and I look forward to touching on some of the issues that I know are of concern and data points that I think council has been talking about. Second, I want to instill confidence in you that number one, your police officers are highly trained and highly skilled. Number two, they're led by sergeants who are completely capable. And three, the sergeants have a lieutenant who is of high character. And four, as chief, I am certainly aware of the conversations taking place. I am committed to delivering a just, effective, and safe police response to all community needs. When I lay my head on my pillow at night, I feel completely comfortable that I'm protected in Indiana Borough. And I've said this before publicly, there's no place in Indiana that I would hesitate having my family, my wife and children walk at any hour of the night. And I encourage our residents and our council to have faith and confidence in us to move forward and continue moving forward, not moving to a state in the past, but moving to a state in the future where there's a higher success rate for all of us in our community. And I'm completely committed to that. And I continue to appreciate the opportunity to lead. So I appreciate all these discussions, and I appreciate the ability to continue delivering you what I know to be public safety successes.
But I also want to say, for the first meaty subject that I've had to deal with council, all these different views and opinions and thoughts and the data and the collection and the communication and the support from the community on both sides and all of the entities that have experience, with subjects of data that we could access. I am just really pleased that we were able to work together and present it to each other and truly show the respect to each other's different points of views. We're not going to agree on everything, But this was a very nice example that, you know, it could have went really nasty and it sometimes may have, but ideally, thank you all for being so responsible and mature about it.
Just for clarity, is the formal recommendation tabling it?
In Parliament or taking it off the table.
Yeah, if someone wants to resurrect it in the future, that's up to whoever, but for the time being, we're not gonna do anything with it.
To read Robert's rules. Everybody says table it, means setting it aside, but according to Robert's rules, that's not the case.
So untabling it then.
Shelving it.
Shelving it.
Yeah.
Lay it on the table, you're putting it there to be voted on. Any questions? Ms. Alden? No, Ben hasn't made it yet, so.
He's like, look, quick, let's end or leave. You'll just wonder what happened.
Anything else for the good of the order that?
Wait, new business.
That's right, we had new business. It's not on the agenda, but we have something to come up under new business. I'm sorry.
I noticed that we have an empty flagpole in front of our building. And I thought that it would be nice if we were to, for the last 9 days of Pride Month, fly the pride flag on that flagpole, and wanted to discuss the possibility of doing that.
That is a motion.
Is that what it takes?
Yeah, move to.
Pride flag on the flagpole out
I
front
second.
for the next 9 days.
Motion, second, any discussion?
That you're willing to provide such a thing, such that the borough would not have to purchase.
Question I would have, it's not pro or con for the pride flag, is if we have an extra flagpole, can the borough designate other groups to fly flags?
That
That
pole,
other
I think,
council.
used to have a police flag on it. didn't it?
You know, that's just all I'm asking.
I'm not familiar with an empty flagpole up front. I apologize. So I don't know what, I don't know what was missing.
And then there's
And
one
then
over here.
the empty one did for a long time have a police flag on it that eventually became so ratty that
Okay.
it was,
Flag on that.
Flag, wasn't it?
Yeah.
With the red rose.
well, it kind of succumbed to old age and was taken down and hasn't been replaced.
So maybe a further discussion. Yeah.
No, whatever can go back up there whenever, but we're just talking about 9 days.
Question of. We can fly any flag they want?
One, obviously, it's going to require a vote of council.
A month or a legitimate organization.
We're suggesting this by vote of council.
Right. So we'd have to vote on it.
Anyone off the street. We are not anyone off the street.
It's a very considerate suggestion and thing to bring up to the community for support. But I also feel like there is adequate recognition of the Pride Month going on. And I do feel we're looking at controversy, which inclusion is great. I don't know what else to say about it. I personally don't have my personal view to discuss with anybody here. I just think that we're looking at controversial, but at the same point, I don't know if the borough is supposed to be, it's not, I don't want to say it's not their job or their responsibility to address that. Maybe it is, maybe I need to learn. So that's my.
Nationally recognized Heritage Month that we're talking about. It's not some arbitrary decision.
It's a made up celebration.
So there are some rather arbitrary national
We'd vote on it.
things. That's all.
You know, I agree.
A person's identity with a hamster is quite something.
This does not necessarily mean.
I do agree.
We do have in our policies of the borough statements regarding discrimination against people other than heterosexual, or, I mean, on the basis of sexual identification. So.
What does it have to do with flying a flag?
Because we're supposed to be a welcoming community too.
To promoting non-discrimination.
And while I agree that there are a lot of signs in personal homes and maybe even some businesses, as a borough council, if we voted to do this and put it out there in front of our building, it's a sign to everyone that they're welcome. That's just my opinion. So as much as I don't have my stuff up because I moved, but typically I have a lot of rainbow stuff in June. I change it all the time. But that really doesn't mean the same thing when you have it at your home compared to a government entity.
Are people with strong religious beliefs welcome in the conversation?
Well, they would, to put a flag up, you mean? They'd have to come to the Borough Council and ask if they,
Just making sure.
is that what you mean?
Well, because
Citizens are not religious beliefs that I'm interested in respecting.
that call.
I do for myself.
Not from the chair you're sitting in, you don't. You don't get to cherry pick whose religion you believe in and don't, and have to respect and don't.
Okay, so
Just
wait a minute.
from
The
the-
discussion on the floor is about the pride flag. It's not about religion, Luke.
Interested in
Okay, but
honoring
let's
people's
go
religious
back- let's go
beliefs.
back to topic.
Not. I said I was not interested in honoring those that are harmful to members of the community.
Opinion
Wait,
in
wait,
some
Luke, come on.
scenarios.
The point, wait, the motion on the floor is about the pride flag. It's not about religion.
I will also say it is an opinion of some that are our gay and lesbian friends and family members are not worthy of the same rights as others. So opinions are one thing, but what is true and recognized is the fact that June has been designated Pride Month from the White House down to the Borough Council of Indiana. And it's not a made-up holiday. It's not something that the card company said, let's sell some more cards and get, bigger revenues. It's a real thing, and it's a welcoming thing to people that don't always get welcomed, and a lot of times in small towns.
Okay, so can we ask Pat to look into that?
Can I ask a legal process question? Because there's many times where we're asked to put up signage, and in the past, we have declined to put up signage because once we wade into that territory, then it becomes a First Amendment rights and who are we promoting and who are we not? And I do think it's a bigger issue than just this, because once we open the door to having the borough putting up flags,
We'll be under attack from many
we
things.
are going to be requested a variety of flags. And if we start deciding whose positions are we taking and who are we not, I think that gets into some legally tricky territory.
If you want to do the flag across, put something across Philly Street, you have to do a permit. There's a process does the county have,
He does, but
Yeah.
I mean,
We've pretty much stopped putting the banners up across Philly Street because
Because why?
That was a liability insurance issue, yeah.
I mean, as far as, to answer your question, Casey, the question becomes, okay, so what happens when
Someone has to put a Confederate flag up.
they come forward? I think I know what the answer would be,
So they have. a
But-
national-
but.
so Pat, they have a national month
I'm
dedicated
not-
to the
I'm not
white
saying that,
supremacist
but I'm
group.
saying, once you go down the road of different entities, you gotta be very, very careful, because what's gonna happen is you're going to have an entity that you're eventually going to say no to. And when you say no to that entity, you open yourself up to a suit. I'm not saying it's justified,
You
good,
can
bad,
go
or
into a
indifferent.
suit, Almost any suit
Right.
anywhere. I mean, that's
There's no doubt about it.
America.
There's
Pat.
no doubt about it. The question becomes, what is the appetite of this council to go down that road?
So we should just take this vote then.
But that was the discussion when we talked about IRMC Park and closing and giving that power over to staff to make the decision. So that council wasn't weighing in on which events can go and which organizations can close the street. Is that we were allowing staff to make that decision and not come to council.
I think in an effort to protect the council members here who have earned the right to sit here, that is a situation that we need to avoid for future, like he said, opening ourselves up to.
Recognized by the government. This is a government facility.
So I think we should vote on it.
There's a lot of National Nurses Week.
And sure, why not? Yeah. If there's a national thing, yeah, why not?
could we approve this and also push forward to have some sort of policy about what we're gonna put on this poll? Because I would feel more comfortable if we had a written policy so that we are like, okay, if it's a nationally recognized this, yes, but not just anybody, because if we open the store, then we don't want to open it up.
I would offer
too
that
literally.
and I could be totally wrong, but my experience with policy is that we wouldn't want to do something before there's a policy in
Exactly.
place. So I think that the policy should.
I need to, I would want to prepare, I would want to prepare my staff for phone calls. I'm just putting that out there. Like, I don't.
I already said it, but we could just replace the flag that's supposed to be there.
Like there right now.
Or develop,
But there was for a long time until it,
have the administration may develop a policy.
But that isn't going to
It
deal with
won't
this year
take with it for
because
the next few weeks, but
We do like a one-time use for the next 9 days and that's it.
well, because then what happens on the next one?
Because it's a special 9-day use.
we could vote to change our opinion.
You can.
Yep.
You can do whatever you'd like. I mean,
And that's perfectly legal too, right?
yes.
Yes.
Can we vote on it?
We have a motion on the floor. It's been moved and seconded.
Already a motion on the floor.
There is a motion on the floor. The motion to fly the flag.
You have to take care of the
take it off the
one
table. It's not over
motion
this.
before you can open another motion. You know what I mean? Yeah. Wrong.
Well.
Don't you have to complete this?
Proceed an active motion. For example,
Tammy wanted to table it.
On table.
would be in order.
Did say that. Tammy did. And
I'm not shooting it down. I want to protect the council as a whole. I think that is my priority.
Is there a second to her motion?
What's the motion?
Just to table this until, like you said, we have some research, some policy, some discussion with staff, many things taken into consideration.
This requires a vote. The vote is to table the motion. Is a vote. Table, a vote against it brings the other motion back for a vote. It does not approve the motion.
That's correct.
Brings motion back, okay? Tabling the motion to fly the flag signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? The nays have it. Motion is back.
Roll call would be more appropriate because just because they're louder.
Just do a
You can
roll
always call for a division. This is a legal parliamentary thing. If you're not satisfied with the voice vote, you can ask for a roll call.
Oh, just for clarity.
A Y or an N.
Colazo.
So timeout.
This is the
To table it.
Yes.
If you want to table it, you vote yes.
You say yes.
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 Ford.
Sorry, Aaron.
no.
Lancaster. I'm sorry. Newell. Steelman.
Yes.
Taylor. Six no's. 4 yes.
The motion is not tabled.
What are you, 5?
Are voting. on
6-4
the
is
motion,
2 votes.
Whether to fly the rainbow flag
What is your
for the
problem?
remainder of this month. We want to have a roll call vote on this too?
Re-motion it, or is it already still on the floor? Okay.
Just re-clarify specifically what they were voting.
Borough to fly the rainbow flag from the empty flagpole in front of the Borough building for the next 9 days. So the end of the month of June, the end of Pride Month.
Those meant something else.
Frame.
Colazo. Herring.
Yes.
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 Taylor. Warnock. Yes, 3 no.
Anything else come before the council under new business?
Inclusion. Inclusion.
We replace the police flag.
For you to be more wholesome and inclusive. that
I'm
people
not
don't
even
always
sure what
agree with
flag
you
he's
agree.
talking
And
about
it
right
doesn't
now.
mean
So
I'm a
till
bad
we go
person.
out and look at the empty flagpole, I'm not
But you
even
would
sure
hate me?
which one he's.
No, I asked you not to hate
What's
me
up
and you
there?
said give
mean
it
it.
time. Say what you
Time
mean,
before we-
mean what you say.
Guys,
If there's nothing else to come up under new business, I will entertain a motion
Move to
to
adjourn.
adjourn.
All right.
That's what I.
I'm prepared to stand by what I say when I say it because